Hello, I'm William Shatner, and coming up behind E's Behind the Scenes is the behind the scenes of Rescue 911. It's interesting, watch it.
Behind
the scenes.
Behind
the scenes. Behind the scenes.
Under normal circumstances, responding to an emergency 911 call is second nature to this team of Los Angeles County flight paramedics.
Rolling and action!
Today, however, they are facing a new challenge. The crew from CBS Television's Rescue 911 is on hand to recreate a dramatic rescue that occurred 3 years ago.
We're going to bring the patient out to where you want it, but what we'd like is to have shots of you hovering over the ocean.
In the next 30 minutes, we'll take you behind the scenes of Rescue 911. You'll meet the show's creator and executive producer, Arnold Shapiro.
We are a positive show. We are dealing with positive role models. We are dealing with heroes, profiling heroes, and we are showing people in their finest moments, whether it's a professional rescuer or a good Samaritan who's never done anything like it before.
Action!
We'll show you how director Mark Cole and his dedicated crew get those shots they need. You'll also see some spectacular stunt work.
Johnny, no!
Plus, you'll meet the engaging host of Rescue 911, William Shatner.
A hero would be someone who consciously does an act of courage that risks some part of him, emotionally or physically, for someone else. And that risk, if you think about it, is in front of your head all the time.
Action!
Safety often begins with having the skills and knowledge needed to handle an emergency.
William Shatner was my idea. He was our first choice. We didn't go to anyone before him, and we didn't go to anyone after him. His Captain Kirk image is a person who is in command, in charge, an authority figure. He's believable, he's credible. He also happens to be excellent doing voiceover narration and talking to the camera.
The greatest achievement possible is to save someone's life. By doing so, we're giving other human beings a second chance to pursue their hopes and dreams. I'm William Shatner. Tonight, true stories of compassion, strength, and courage under pressure on Rescue 911. I see the shows, the raw material, rough cuts, and I know what they're about, and then I do the narration. The key to those things are phrasing and breathing, I guess, or phrasing and breathing are the same thing, I guess. It's something like a piece of music where you slow up, what you emphasize, keep the flow going, and where to breathe and phrase like you would if you were singing it.
In keeping with the reality of our program, William Shatner does his on-camera segments in a real 911 center, which is located in Huntington Beach, California. We've been there since the beginning, so he's not in a studio. That wouldn't be right. We're not a studio show. We are where the action is.
Today's action takes place at Sycamore Cove, north of Malibu. The set is supposed to represent Point Doom, a coastal headland a few miles south.
The actual story happened in Point Doom, and we couldn't get that location, so we're here at Sycamore Cove to do this recreation. These three friends were from Texas. They were out visiting a friend who was going to Pepperdine University, and they were walking along the beach, and they decided to climb this area in Point Doom.
There's been a lot of deaths on Point Doom, as far as, in fact, as recently a stuntman was killed. Wow. In that area. We chose this area as a little more accessible, for safety.
It's very nice out there, but also it's very dangerous, and they don't sometimes mix when we have both of those.
These three boys were climbing, and he fell 30 feet down the face of Point Doom, bounced off a ledge, and fell another 100, landing on the rocks on his back. Wow. And he's up and running today, looking great.
Well, I was in pretty good shape from working out for years before. doing martial arts and bodybuilding and everything. So it protected me a lot from the fall. And I broke a lot of ribs, and it got into my, it punctured my lungs, and I lost a third of my right lung, and here the third lobe. So they had to take that out, and that's what that scar's from.
Normally what we do is we go wherever the stories take place. And obviously this story took place in California, but the family was in Texas. And rather than fly our whole crew down there, we just flew the family out here because we knew we had to shoot out here. And the family was willing to come out, and we put them up in a hotel.
The first time they went in here, my stomach, they took out my spleen. And then about, I guess 8-10 weeks down the line, they had to go back in and take out my gallbladder and a couple feet of small intestine that had gangrene in them, and the gallbladder had hardened and everything. So I almost died from that.
We try to get it in frame as much as possible.
Okay. Oh, in frame. Okay. So you're not as concerned on this shot about the beginning of fame.
No, because he's got to make it look like he just fell 30 feet, so he's going to have to give a jerk off anyway.
Let me see a tighter shot and a follow. What? Tighter shot and a follow, please.
For a stunt like this, we're using 2 cameras. Because we have limited time to shoot these things, the platforms were built last night, brought in, and we decided to do the stunt first this morning instead of the setup of the story because the platforms took so long to put in place. Once those are out of the way, then we can rip them down and do the rock climbing part of the stunt, or the rock climbing part of the setup before the stunt.
Yes.
Take a look. This is a video Walkman. It's a television with a television tuner, and it's also a hi-fi stereo video cassette made by Sony. And it's a consumer unit just for consumers, but we kind of adapted it to you be working as a video assist with a small wireless video sender that broadcasts on UHF channel at a very low frequency.
Up next, we'll show you the actual stunt.
He's getting some cuts and abrasions on his face, and he doesn't really feel quite right unless he's all torn up.
Behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
Welcome back to E's behind-the-scenes look at the popular television series Rescue 911. Today, the Rescue 911 crew is at Sycamore Cove, north of Malibu. They're recreating an accidental fall by a Texan teenager 3 years previously.
There's going to be 3 rocks up there that you're going to be grabbing onto, and they should come down with you, okay?
The show's creator and executive producer is Arnold Shapiro.
Just to give you a breakdown of Rescue, there are over 70 people who work full-time in our offices, in our production offices, finding the stories, developing them, organizing them, editing them. We have about 35 people out in the field continuously. We shoot between 2 and 3 stories every week. I mean, we're here today in north of Malibu doing this story, but at the same time, there are a couple of other stories shooting around the country and other places.
What's wrong with him with taking a lead from there?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's fine. Where he just was on the other side of the rock, so that's tough for him to start there?
I didn't see him. I was stopping.
He was down. He was down a little bit on the other side of the rock there. So that's tough for him to come up over that, huh?
John, go back where you just were. On the other side of the rock. Where's that?
There are 3 falls that he takes. He is climbing up with his buddies. He's the 3rd one up. He starts to grasp onto some rock, and the rock breaks up in his hand. Being sandstone in this area, it's not the rocks that you think a rock climber could climb. The rocks break up in his hand, and he starts falling backwards. He falls 30 feet, scraping and clawing as he goes down, hits a ledge, and then falls another 100 feet, 70 to 100 feet, and to the rocks below. So the portion we were shooting this morning was that second fall, off the ledge, 70 feet to the rocks below.
Action!
Mark Cole has directed about 50 shoots for Rescue 911. He's done everything from people falling down glaciers to little girls helping to deliver babies. And he's kind of a veteran for us. He's been with us all 3 seasons. He's directed all 3 seasons. He's a former editor, so he always knows what he wants to get. And he has 2 cameras today because it's a stunt, and we don't want to have to do the stunt 12 times, so now we only do it 6 times because we have 2 cameras.
Right.
What I'm looking for is this illusion of this body coming straight down the camera and crossing on the left side of the frame. it's tough when you're working with rocks and height. Like when you're working on snow, you could be 600 feet above the snow, and it could look like you're 6 foot above, because there's no relationship, it's all relative. So what we're doing is trying to place our cameras in the spot that, and using the wide-angle lenses that will allow it to look as high as it is. This accident really happened on Point Doom, which is a much, much higher cliff. So we're using a little bit scaled-down version here, but when it's all cut together, it's going to look very high. The camera's here. I'm looking for this. Whoa. Well then. So you know what? You know, to tell you the truth, I think this is your spot right here.
Yeah.
We use stunt coordinators just like they use on. These are feature stunt coordinators for feature films, and we use them. We work in hand. I mean, if he's telling me that's not safe, we're not going to do it. You know, this is a very tricky kind of deal when you're working with rocks here, and we want to be very safe. Stand by.
Stand by, quiet, please. Stand by.
Put some energy in it, Jody, and action. Nice. Beautiful. That was perfect. Let's do it again.
I've been a stuntman for 14 years now, and I've been doing, this is my second season for Rescue 911, and I've probably coordinated for 8 years now.
I'm thinking you can climb up here, you can grab on the rocks, you can start to crawl. You're going to be going like this, palming a couple of these rocks, you know, using your feet. You're going to kind of hop down a little bit till you can start to slide. And the rocks are going to come down after you, and then you're just going to drop, fall out of frame, right? Is that what you're going to try?
John Borland, he used to work on the A-Team. He used to be a regular stuntman on the A-Team for years. And we came down here with him and showed him what we were going to do, and we planned it all out beforehand, before we got here, mapped it out.
All right, here we go. Rolling. We got speed. Action.
Johnny, no!
Cut.
The actual victim, Jody Nolan, watches the recreation of the fall with his friends.
Seeing the fall again it's a good feeling. It's really hit close to home. It's very real.
When I was directing one of the Star Trek films, and it called for some of the characters to be at Yosemite, on the face of the rock at Yosemite, and so stuntmen and rock experts taught me to climb, free climb, and only once did I look down behind me to see the distance, and any distance, let alone 80 feet, is an extraordinary distance to be on a rock. It's like your worst nightmare. Because your worst nightmare is to fall. And so I have nothing but compassion for the guy who fall backwards and suddenly you're tumbling through the air and you're hitting the rocks and you're probably conscious as you're hitting. Must have been horrific.
No! 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 No!
Got it.
Coming up, we'll show you how the Rescue 911 crew recreates the rescue.
Action!
Behind the scenes. Behind the scenes.
Welcome back to E's behind-the-scenes look at the CBS television series Rescue 911. It's day 2 of the shoot at Sycamore Cove near Malibu. The Rescue 911 crew is recreating the rescue of a young Texan who fell almost 100 feet 3 years earlier.
Rolling and action. Paramedic, step aside, please.
These are real people, and it's great working with these kind of people, the firemen and the 911 operators and the paramedics, because they're easy actors to work with because they're just doing their job and they do it very well.
Action. What kind of vitals you got? Well, Bobby looks like he's going downhill. His blood pressure is going down, his rate's going up, and his respirations are going way up. Okay, let's open up that IV right there. Have you made contact? Open. No, we haven't made contact yet. We can't get out of here. You guys are going to have to make contact. Okay, Len, we're going to have to make contact with Westlake en route, okay? Let's continue bagging him and let's prepare him for the Miller board.
Freeze! Okay, leg down there. Let's see him wrapping that leg. Action!
What kind of vitals you got? Well, it looks like he's going downhill, Bobby. The blood pressure is going down, the pulse is going up.
Freeze!
So are the respiration.
Bobby and Captain don't say anything. Everybody else just be talking as you're wrapping the leg. Rolling.
Rolling.
Action!
We're going to have to bring this leg over to you guys. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay. Good flow of the IV.
Okay, thanks. Bag is going okay.
Various.
Get under there.
Yeah.
Jeff. Up to Jeff.
This is almost right to the T of what we do. We work in conjunction with the lifeguards because they're on scene first. Then we come in and assist them, and then we have our air resources come in and assist us. And instead of taking 20 or 30 minutes carrying him up the rocks, getting him in a ground ambulance and taking him to a hospital, he could die by then. So what we're dealing with is the golden hour.
We're going to bring the patient out to where you want it, but what we'd like is to have shots of you hovering over the ocean, and then they'll bring the patient out to the position we've discussed, and then you can come in and load them and take off. How does that sound?
How you feeling? Strapped in. Action!
This is a very big helicopter, and the wash off the ocean as well as the sand was pretty tough. That got a little hairy. The surf was coming up, and it was kind of, they were hovering on one skid on a rock, so we didn't want to put anybody in any kind of dangerous position. It was a safe thing to do, but it's something you don't want to do 3 or 4 times. You want to do it once and get it and move on.
Tilt down!
It was like watching an alternate universe or something like that, and like watching ourselves back in time or something.
Watching us down there was kind of different. It was kind of surreal. It's almost like we're watching, the actors down there we're dead and we're watching down on us.
Twilight Zone.
Exactly, a long time ago.
It went much faster that day because when we got there, the victim was just about ready to go, and I dropped my 2 paramedics off in the stretcher, and I went out, and within 3 or 4 minutes I came back in and they had him ready to go, and I hovered and they put him in just like they did there, but it was much faster.
Safety is a very important aspect of all of this. You can imagine how bad it would look for Rescue 911 if in the process of doing all these recreations we were hurting people or injuring people as well. That wouldn't bode well for us. The fact is we've shot well over 300 stories since we went on the air, and happily we can tell you that we haven't had one major, even approaching major injury at all. We've had a few scrapes and bruises. That comes with the territory. But safety first with us.
Next on E's Behind the Scenes look at Rescue 911, the victim meets his rescuers.
Behind the scenes. Behind
the
scenes.
Welcome back to E's Behind the Scenes look at the CBS television series Rescue 911.
Every Christmas we give the staff some rescue item. I mean, you see the rescue t-shirt, the rescue hat. A couple of Christmases ago, we gave the Rescue 911 wristwatch, and if you look at it very closely, you can see that the second hand is an ambulance that goes around, takes 60 seconds to traverse its course, and it's a very popular item, the Rescue 911 watch.
Glad to see you're all right. Yeah, because we're going to leave and hope everything continues going well for you.
By now, you're aware of the commitment to safety by the Rescue 911 crew and their dedication in accurately recreating an accident and rescue. They also have another priority: respecting the people they're telling the story about.
We like to come into a town and have them feel as good about us when we leave as when we showed up, because a lot of times Hollywood crews come in and they just run rampant and they trample over everybody's property and feelings, and we don't like to do that. We like people to like us. And when we're coming into somebody's hometown and somebody's house, we try to treat them as well as we can, and we want it to be a positive experience because our reputation's pretty important to us. And we get a lot of letters.
The nicest feeling, though, is when you get a letter saying, if it wasn't for that episode that we saw, I wouldn't be alive today, or my child wouldn't be alive today, thanks to what you did.
There's a big lesson in it. It's just your life is to be lived, but you've got to be prepared for what's ahead. You never know what's going to come next. You know what you're getting into. Don't get into something over your head.
After the shoot, the segment is written and edited. Now all that remains is for host William Shatner to add his golden voice to the process.
And roll tape, please. Good. Action.
Safety often begins with having the skills and knowledge needed to handle an emergency. Contact the American Red Cross or your local fire department for first aid courses available in your area. This series is dedicated to all the heroes who aid and comfort us in times of trouble. I'm William Shatner. Join us again next week for more true stories on Rescue 911.
And cut.
Recently, the show's staff had another cause for celebration. They completed their 100th Life Saved episode.
100 lives saved. It's to be connected with a show that has saved that number of lives in less than 100 episodes. I mean, by extension, if we went to 200 episodes, we'd have well over 200 people who were saved as a result of watching Rescue 911, not as a result of calling the number, but as a direct result of watching our show. People have saved lives. I mean, it's extraordinary. Well, now you've seen behind the scenes. Watch in front of the scenes when we're on CBS Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock. Thank you.
Behind
Scenes. Behind
the
scenes. Behind
the
scenes.